Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Bhakta Vrinda. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikante Radha Kante Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की जय। बोलो श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय।
जय। हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा रीना जी। हरे कृष्णा जय। वो तरुण हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
I think Anil ji, yeah, Anil ji is out of somewhere. So I think we get started. अभी तक जैसा कि हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं, we are on chapter 19th now. We started अध्याय 19th yesterday, and of canto 5th. And so we are on the 5th shlok. As we know, like in different places, different highest devotees of Lord Vishnu are meditating and praying to Lord Vishnu in different avatars, praying to different avatars of Lord Vishnu, right? So like we saw that Prithvi Ma, Mother Earth, was praying to Lord Varaha avatar. Yeah, I think that's what we were reading last. Yeah, and then we are reading about Hanumanji, right? How Hanumanji is doing prayers to Lord Sri Ram, right? And we saw the speciality of Ayodhya, where Lord Ram was born. He's of course incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and Hanumanji is doing prayers of Lord Ram. That's what we are reading right now. Yeah. So Shlok 5th. Ajay.
Sure. मत्यावतार रसुतः मर्त्य शिक्षाम रक्षो वधाय न केवलम विभो कुतो अन्यथा स्याद्रमतः स्व आत्मनः सीता कृतानि व्यसनानि श्वरस्य. It was ordained that Ravan, chief of Rakshasas, could not be killed by anyone but a man, and for the reason Lord Ramchand, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in the form of a human being. Lord Ramchand's mission, however, was not only to kill Ravan, but also to teach mortal beings that material happiness centered around sex life or centered around one's wife is the cause of many miseries. He is the self-sufficient Supreme Personality of Godhead, and nothing is lamentable for him. Therefore, why else he could be subjected to tribulations by kidnapping of Mother Sita? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Arun?
नवैसा आत्मात्मत्वं सुहृतं सख्या त्रिलोकं Bhagwanam Vasudevaha Na Strikritam Kasmalam Asnuvita Na Lakshamanam Kapi Vihatum Arhati. Since Lord Sri Ramchandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva is not attached to anything in this material world. He is the most beloved super soul of all self-realized souls, and he is their very intimate friend. He is full of all opulences, therefore he could not possibly have suffered because of separation from his wife, nor could he have given up his wife and Lakshmana, his younger brother. To give up either would have been absolutely impossible. Hare Krishna.
Rinaji?
न जन्म नूनम महतो न सौभगम न सौभगम न वांग बुद्धिर न कृते स्तोष हेतु तर्यद्विसृष्टा नपि नो वनौकसश्चकार सख्ये बत लक्ष्मणाग्रजः. One cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Ramchandra on the basis of material qualities such as one's birth in an aristocratic family, one's personal beauty, one's eloquence, one's sharp intelligence, or one's superior race or nation. None of these qualifications is actually a prerequisite for friendship with the Lord Sri Ramchandra. Otherwise, how is it possible that although we uncivilized inhabitants of the forest have not taken noble births, although we have no physical beauty, and although we cannot speak like gentlemen, Lord Ramchandra has nevertheless accepted us as friends. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nisha.
Hare Krishna. Suro asuro vapyat vanuro narah sarvatmana yah sukrutyag muttama bhajeta ramam manuja kritim harim ya uttaranayat kotsalandi vamiti. Therefore, whether one is the demigod or a demon, a man or a creature other than man, such as beast or bird, everyone should worship Lord Ramchandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears on this earth just like a human being. There is no need of great austerities or penance to worship the Lord, for he accepts even a small service offered by his devotee. Thus he is satisfied, and as soon as he is satisfied, the devotee is successful. Indeed, Lord Sri Ramachandra brought all the devotees of Ayodhya back home, back to Godhead, Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Bhabiji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. पढ़ूं मैं? भारतेऽपि वर्षे भगवान्नारायणाख्यम् आकल्पान्तु पचितधर्मज्ञानवैराग्यैश्वर्यो पशमो परमात्मो फलं मनुग्रहाया त्वमवतामनुकम्पया तपो व्यक्तगतिश्चरति. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are inconceivable. He has appeared in the form of Nar Narayan in the land of Bharatvarsha at the place known as Badri Kasrama to favor his devotee by teaching them religion, knowledge, renunciation, spiritual power, sense control, and freedom from false ego. He is advanced in the appellants of spiritual ascetics, and he engaged in executing austerity until the end of this millennium. This is the process of self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, and then Sukdev Goswami continues that also in Bharatvarsh, right, as we know, there is a Nar Narayan. If you remember, we also did Nar Narayan Stuti, right? And that is in Badrika Ashram, right? If you go to Badrika Ashram before Kedarnath, right, I think you can see Nar Narayan devotees there. And also Swami Narayan is, it's said that, he's manifestation of Lord Nar Narayan, yeah. So Nar and Narayan coming together. Also many people say it's like Arjun and Lord Sri Krishna, manifestation of Arjun and Lord Sri Krishna. And of course, it's the way it's being prayed is Bhagwan Nar Narayan, yeah, Dharma, Gyan, Vairagya, Aishwarya, yeah, all those are the qualities as being mentioned here, like favor his devotees by teaching them religion, knowledge, renunciation, spiritual power, sense control, and freedom from false ego. Actually, this is a nice purport, so let's read this. Tarun.
People in India may visit the temple of Naranarayana at Padrikakshirama just to learn how the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Naranarayana engages in austerities to teach the people of the world how to achieve self-realization. It is impossible to realize oneself simply by absorbing oneself in speculation in material activities. One must be very serious about self-realization and the practice of austerity. Unfortunately, the people of this age of Kali do not even know the meaning of austerity. Under these circumstances, the Lord has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow upon the fallen souls the easiest method of self-realization, technically called Seto Darpana Marjanam, cleansing of the dirt from the core of one's heart. This method is extremely simple. Anyone can chant the glorious Krishna Sankirtana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this age, there are different forms of so-called advanced scientific knowledge, such as anthropology, Marxism, Freudianism, nationalism, and individualism. But if we work very hard under their guidance, instead of adopting the process practiced by Narayana, we shall waste our valuable human form of life. Thus, we shall certainly be cheated and misled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is being mentioned is, as a human life, if we keep doing all these material things and not really focus on cleansing of the dirt from the core of one's heart, right? And the way to do that is a devotional chanting, Hare Krishna Sankirtan, right? Very easy process. If you are not able to do that, then essentially we are wasting this life. The human life is what is mentioned. Yeah. Like we don't want to really waste our valuable human form of life, because as we have read, like after 8.4 million of different types of births and who knows what all different births once we have taken before getting this human life. So the human life is really to get engaged in the Krishna consciousness, right? Is what is being mentioned. Rinaji?
तम भगवान नारदो वर्णाश्रमवती भी भारती भी प्रजा भी भार्गव प्रोक्ताभ्यां सांख्य योगाभ्यां भगवद न भावोपवर्णनम सार्वणे रूप देक्ष्यमानः परम भक्ति भावेनोपसरति idam चाभिगृह्णाति. In his own book, known as Narad Pancharatra, Bhagwan Narad has very vividly described how to work to achieve the ultimate goal of life, devotion, through knowledge and through execution of the mystic yoga system. He has also described the glories of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The great sage Narad instructed the tenets of this transcendental literature to Savarni Manu in order to teach those inhabitants of Bharatvarsh who strictly follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma, how to achieve the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, Narad Muni, along with the other inhabitants of Bharatvarsh, always engages in the service of Nar Narayan, and he chants as follows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So in the land of Bharatvarsh, Narad Muni is praying to Lord Narayan, yeah, and he's chanting as follows. Like in the previous verses, we have seen how Prahlad Maharaj is doing prayers to Lord Narsimdev, right? How in 11th verse, Lord Shiva himself is doing meditation on Lord Sankarshan, right? And we have seen so many so far, like we just saw Hanumanji doing prayers of Lord Ram, right? So here we are seeing Narad Muni doing prayers of Narayan. Yeah, Nisha.
ॐ नमो भगवते परतानात्माय नमो अकिञ्चितवित्ताय ऋषिऋषभाय नरनारायणाय परमहंस परमगुरुवे आत्मा रामाधिपते नमो नम इति. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Nar Narayan, the best of all sanity persons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the most self-controlled and self-realized. He is free from false prestige, and he is the asset of persons who have no material possessions. He is the spiritual master of Paramhansas, who are the most exalted human beings, and he is the master of self-realized. Let me offer my repeated obeisances at his lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So this is how Narad Muni is praying to Bhagwan Nar and Narayan. Yeah. And he's saying, how he's describing the characteristics like Rishi Rishabhai. Yeah. He's Paramhans Param Guruve. Atma Rama Dhipatiye. Yeah. That's how Narad Muni is describing, and then let me offer my repeated obeisances at his lotus feet. Yeah. Bhabiji?
गायति चेदं कर्तास्य सर्गदिषु यो न बध्यते न हन्यते देहगतोऽपि देहिकेः दृष्टर्दर्गस्य गुणे विदुष्यते तस्मै नमो सक्त विविक्त साक्षिणे. Narada, the most powerful saintly sage, also worshipped Nar Narayan by chanting the following mantra. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of his visible cosmic manifestation, yet he is completely free from false prestige. Although to the foolish he appears to have accepted a material body like us, he is unaffected by bodily tribulations like hunger, thirst, and fatigue. Although he is the witness who sees everything, his senses are unpolluted by the objects he sees. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that unattached, pure witness of the world, the Supreme Soul, the Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Narad Muni is praying to Lord Narayan like this. Yeah. Reading Ajay. Ajay.
Yeah, sorry. Idam hi yogeshwar yogine punam hiranya garbho bhagavad jagad yat yadant kale tvai nirmule mano bhaktya dadhito jitatadush kalevaraha. O my Lord, Master of all mystic yoga, this is the explanation of yogic process spoken by Lord Brahma Hiranyagarbha, who is self-realized. At the time of death, all yogis give up the material body with full detachment simply by placing their minds in your lotus feet. That is the perfection of yoga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So what is being mentioned here is what is the perfection of yoga, right? Or a perfection of the life of a human life of a person, right? Is that at the time of death, right? The yogis give up the material body, right? With full detachment simply by placing their minds at your lotus feet. So when they remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, what happens is in the next life, essentially they go back to the spiritual planet and they doesn't have to take birth again in the materialistic world. Yeah, and that is the perfection of yoga. Yeah, it says here, yada antakale. Yeah, antakale tavai nirgune mano. And that's what he remembers. Yeah, so any bhaktya, and then that's how they give up the materialistic body. Actually, nice purport. So let's read this. Tarun.
Srila Madhvacharya says, Yasya samyak Bhagavati Jananam Bhaktis Tatyave cha Nischintastasya mokshasa syat sarva papa krito vipitu. For one who very seriously practices devotional service during his lifetime in order to understand the constitutional position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, liberation from his material world is guaranteed, even if he has previously been addicted to sinful habits. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, what is being mentioned is irrespective of whatever has been the past, right? If somebody is seriously practicing devotional service, then his liberation from the material world is guaranteed. Is what is being mentioned here. Rinaji?
This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhur eva sa manantavyah samyag vyavasito hi sah. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Bhagavad Gita 9.30. The only purpose of life is to be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and his form, pastimes, activities, and qualities. If one is able to think of Krishna in this way 24 hours a day, he is already liberated. Swarupena Vyavasthita. Whereas materialists are absorbed in material thoughts and activities, devotees, on the contrary, are always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and Krishna's activities. Therefore, they are already on the platform of liberation. One has to think of Krishna with full absorption at the time of death. Then he will certainly return home, back to Godhead without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So what is being mentioned is that, of course, as we know, the materialists, most of us, right, are absorbed in material thoughts and activities every time. We have some material thoughts for so many different reasons. We have so many things, pending list of tasks, right? And things we want to do. They are all material thoughts and activities what we are engaged in. On the other hand, who are pure devotees, they are always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna and Krishna's activities, right? And so when they are engaged in that, what does that mean, right? So what is being mentioned is if they are doing that, like they are always in the thoughts of Krishna and Krishna's activities, then they are considered already liberated, yeah, already on the path of liberation. And of course, at the time of death, because they are fully absorbed in Krishna, they will suddenly return home back to Godhead without a doubt, right? Is what is being mentioned here. यते हि कामुष्मिककामफलं पटः सुतेषु दारेषु धनेषु चिन्तयन् शङ्केत विद्वान् कुकलेवरातयाद यस्तस्य यत्नः श्रम एव केवलम्. Materialists are generally very attached to their present bodily comforts, and to the bodily comforts they expect in the future. Therefore, they are always absorbed in thoughts of their wives, children, wealth, and are afraid of giving up their bodies, which are full of stool and urine. If a person engaged in Krishna consciousness, however, is also afraid of giving up his body, what is the use of his having labored to study the Shastras? It was simply a waste of time. So what is being mentioned is like, even if a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, if he doesn't understand, like we are not body, we are the soul, and is afraid of giving up the body, then what is the use of studying the Shastras? Is what is being mentioned here, right? Okay, nice purpose. Let's read this, Nisha.
At the time of death, a materialist thinks of his wife and children. He is absorbed in thinking of how they will live and who will take care of them after he leaves. Consequently, he is never prepared to give up his body. Rather, he wants to continue to live in his body to serve his society, family, friends, and so on. Therefore, by practicing the mystic yoga system, one must become detached from bodily relationships. If despite practicing bhakti yoga and studying all the Vedic literature, one is afraid of giving up his bad body, which is cause of all his suffering, what is the use of his attempts to advance in spiritual life? The secret of success in practicing yoga is to become free from bodily attachments. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Deha smriti nahi yara, samsara bandhana kahan tara. One whose practice has freed him from the anxieties of bodily needs is no longer in conditional life. Such a person is freed from conditional bondage. A person in Krishna consciousness must fully discharge his devotional duties without material attachment. Then his liberation is guaranteed. Hare Krishna.
Bhavi?
तन्नहं प्रभोः त्वं कुकले वरार्पितां त्वन्मायया हमं मता मधो क्षज बिन्धां येनाशु वयं सुदर्भिर्दां विदेहि योगं त्वयि न स्वभावमिति. Therefore, O Lord, O Transcendence, kindly help us by giving us the power to execute Bhakti Yoga so that we can control our restless minds and fix them upon you. We are all infected by your illusory energy. Therefore, we are very attached to the body, which is full of stool and urine, and to anything related with the body except for devotional service. There is no way to give up this attachment. Therefore, kindly bestow upon us this benediction. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Basically, what is being mentioned is we are so much attached to the body that we forget our soul, right? At the end of the day, the body is temporary. So we really need to reestablish our relationship with the spiritual Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And that cannot happen till we still keep considering our materialistic attachments and materialistic thoughts, right? And again, a good purport. Let's read this, Ajay.
The Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Mad Yaji Man Namaskuru. The perfect yoga system consists of always thinking of Krishna, always engaging in devotional service, always worshipping Krishna, and always offering obeisances unto him. Unless we practice this yoga system, our illusionary attachment for this bad body, which is full of stool and urine, is impossible to give up. The perfection of yoga consists of giving up attachment for this body and bodily relationship and transferring that attachment to Krishna. We are very attached to material enjoyment, but when we transfer that same attachment to Krishna, we traverse the path of liberation. One has to practice this yoga system and none other. Hare Krishna.
Tarun, brother?
भारतेऽप्यस्मिन् वर्षे शारीरिक चैला सन्ति भावो मलयो मंगला प्रस्थो मेनकस त्रिकुटा प्रसभ्य कुटता कहा कोलकः सहयो देवागिरे यस्य मुख श्रीशैलो वेंकटो महेंद्रो वारिधरो विंध्या सुक्तिमन ऋक्षगिरः परियात्रो द्रोणस चित्राकुटो गोवर्धनो रैवक्तः ककुबो नीलो गोखमुख इंद्रिय किला कामगिरे इति चन्यसा सता स शैलस्य तेषां नितंबा प्रभाव नदा नद्यश्च सन्ति असंख्यतः. Hare Krishna. In the tract of land known as Bharatvarsha, as in Elyavrata Varsha, there are many mountains and rivers. Some of the mountains are known as Malaya, Mangala Prastha, Menaka Trikuta, Rasabhya Kutaka, Kolaka, Sahya Devagiri, Yasya Mukha, Sri Saila, Venkata Mahendra, Varidhara, Vindhya Suktiman, Rasagiri, Pariyatra Drona, Chitrakuta Govardhana, Ravakata, Kakuba Nila Gokhamukha, Indrakila and Kamagiri. Besides these, there are many other hills with many large and small rivers flowing from their slopes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so I think if you remember, Sukhdev Goswamiji is answering Parikshit Maharaj's question on what is Parikshit Maharaj asking is how the whole universe is situated, right? And that's when Sukhdev Goswamiji described how the Ganga river has come together. And then he described all these different verses and how in each verse or tract of lands, different highest devotees are doing prayers to Lord Vishnu, Lord Shri Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Rasiksha Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. एता समोहो भर्त्य प्रजाना विधिरेव पुनन्ति नाम आत्मना चो स्पृशन्ति चंद्रवसा ताम्रपर्णी अवोखदा कृतमाला वेहायसी कावेरी वेणी पयस्विनी सर्गवर्ता तुंगभद्रा कृष्णा वेण्या भीमरती गोदावरी निवृत्या पयोषणी तापी रेवा सुरसा नर्मदा चमर्णी सिंधुश्च सूर्णश्च नदौ महानदी वेदस्मृति ऋषिकुल्या त्रिशामा कौशिकी मंदाकिनी यमुना सरस्वती दृश्यवती गोमती सरयू सरस्वती सप्तवती सुषोमा सत्र द्रुतश्चंद्रभागा मरुद्वृदा वितस्ताश्विनी असिक्नी विश्वेति महानद्यः. Two of the rivers, the Brahmaputra and the Son, are called Nadyas or main rivers. These are others great rivers that are very prominent. Chandravarsha, Tamraparni, Avottada, Kritmala, Vayashi, Kaveri, Veni, Payaswini, Sarkara Varta, Tungabhadra, Krishnavanya, Bhimratri, Godavari, Nirvidya, Payosini, Tapi, Reva, Sursa, Narmada, Chamarvati, Mahanadi, Vedasmriti, Rishikulya, Krishna, Kausiki, Mandakini, Yamuna, Saraswati, Kristavati, Gomati, Sarayu, Radhaswati, Saptavali, Susom, Satyadru, Chandrabhaga, Marudratha, Vitsa, Ashikini, and Vivasa. The inhabitants of Bharatvarsh are purified because they are always remember these rivers. Sometimes they chant the names of these rivers as mantras, and sometimes they go directly to the rivers to touch them and bathe in them. Thus, the inhabitants of the Bharatvarsh become purified. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So what is mentioned? All these rivers are transcendental. Therefore, one can be purified by remembering them, touching them, or bathing in them. This practice is still going on. Yeah. Rinaji?
अस्मिन्नेव वर्षे पुरुषैर्लब्धजन्मभिः शुक्ललोहितकृष्णवर्णेन स्वारब्धेन कर्मणा दिव्यमानुषेण नारकगतयो बह्व्यः आत्मन आनुपूर्वेण सर्वाह्योः सर्वेषां विधीयन्ते यथा वर्णविधानमपवर्गश्चापि भवति. The people who take birth in this tract of land are divided according to the qualities of material nature. The modes of goodness, sattva-gun, passion, rajogun, and ignorance, tamogun. Some of them are born as exalted personalities, some are ordinary human beings, and some are extremely abominable. For in Bharatvarsh, one takes birth exactly according to one's past karma. If one's position is ascertained by a bona fide spiritual master and one is properly trained to engage in the service of Lord Vishnu according to the four social divisions, is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and the four spiritual divisions, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, one's life becomes perfect. Hare Krishna.
Bhavaji?
योऽसो भगवती सर्वभूतात्मनायानात्मे निरुक्ते निलयने परमात्मनि वासुदेवाय निमित्त भक्ति योग लक्षणो नानागति निमित्ता विद्या ग्रंथीन धन द्वारण यदाहि महापुरुष पुरुष प्रसंग. After many births, when the result of one's pious activities mature, one gets an opportunity to associate with pure devotees. Then one is able to cut the knot of bondage to ignorance which bound him because of varied fruitative activities. As a result of associating with devotees, one gradually renders service to Lord Vasudeva, who is transcendental, free from attachment to the material world, beyond the mind and words, and independent of everything else. The Bhakti Yoga, devotional service to Lord Vasudeva, is the real path of liberation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So the bhakti of devotional service, and then we associate with devotees, right? And like we all also come together and read Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. Again, a nice purpose. So let's quickly read this, Nisha.
Brahman realization is the beginning of liberation. and Paramatma realization is still further advancement toward the realm of liberation, but one achieves real liberation when he understands his position as an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Muktir hitavande yatha rupam swarupena vayu vashishti. In the material world, in the bodily concept of life, everyone is working in the wrong direction. When one becomes Brahma Bhuta, spiritually realized, one understands that he is not the body and that working in the bodily concept of life is useless and misdirected. Then his devotional service begins, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18.54, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankasati Samaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mada Bhaktinim Labhate Param. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Padu?
Ajay.
Sorry. One who is thus transcendently situated realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments the desire to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Devotional service is actual liberation. When one is attracted by the beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his mind is always engaged at Lord's lotus feet, he is no longer interested in subjects that do not help him in self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tarun.
In other words, he loses all attraction for material activities. In the Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7, it is said, Esa hai evan ivanandatyati yada hai evasya etasmin na driyasya natyamai me anirukte nilayane bhayam prasthitam vindate ta sa so bhayam gato bhavati. A living entity becomes established in spiritual, blissful life when he fully understands that his happiness depends on spiritual self-realization, which is the basic principle of Ananda, bliss. When he is eternally situated in the service of the Lord, who has no other Lord above him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to pause here. It's already 11. We are a little bit over time. But we'll continue to read this next week. Meanwhile, we'll continue to hear the very blissful Gopi Gita. Yeah. So
स्मरम् वीरयच्छसि गीतमोहिता गीतवयोषिता कास्त्यजनिषि रहसि संविदम् ऋषयोदयम् प्रहसिताननम् प्रेमवीक्षणम् बृहद्दुराश्रियो वीक्षधामते मुहुरति स्पृहा मुह्यते मनः
All right. So we still have some part of Gopi Gita remaining. So we'll hear that on Monday. But I am so blissful to hear the Gopi Gita this whole week, right? And Gopis are the highest of the highest. Devotees are Gopis, right? And that's what we all learn from the Gopis. And of course, Radhe Rani is the highest of highest and the most beloved of Shri Krishna. Yeah. So enjoy a long weekend. And we'll see you back on Monday. Yeah. 10 p.m. EST. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, thank you.